I've got Earl a little nervous here because he was one of my former students and he's worried about what I'm going to say about him. But it's all good stuff, Earl. So Earl was one of our first students in our program, and he was a real student leader, and I'm really thankful that he's here to share his experience. And because, you know, as all of you educators know, when somebody's gone through your program and gained even a little bit from it and gone on into their career, you know, it's almost like family member. You're just like very connected to that individual. And Earl's epitome of a fabulous student from the time he came in. Earl started our club, a Building Technologies Club on campus, and it became the largest club on campus with 75 paid members. Imagine that. 75 paid student members. And Earl became the president of that organization and really led a student culture that included students getting Home Depot scholarships, that included students getting ASHRAE scholarships, of which Earl was one recipient, and others went to Las Vegas on those scholarships, really. And Earl was part of the team that was an award-winning group at Skills USA, because they built a scale building, a model building of William McCullough's Building of the Future, and they automated it from bottom to top. Lighting controls inside, it rotated, it had 4 sensors on every floor. I could go on and on about this guy. I'm so proud of what Earl has now done professionally. Been to what, 40 countries, or how many countries have you visited as part of your professional work?
4.
4? Oh, 4. Okay, well that's awesome. I was going to say 40. 4 is awesome. That's more countries than I've been to. But yeah, he's with a great company who's growing, and is also, Triatek is one of our corporate sponsors for the Best Center. And their president is going to make some big announcements at ASHRAE this year. Just a fabulous guy, fabulous organization. So I could go on and on about Earl, but thanks for coming, and I'm really excited to listen to what you have to say.
Thank you, Brian. So I just want to start by thanking the organization for inviting me. This was really a very wonderful and positive and powerful experience for me. I thought I was going to come here and dazzle you guys with what's going on currently in the industry, and after one day I say, these guys are on top of that stuff. So Deb really hit all the points of what I was going to present. What I wanted to just kind of share was the students' my perspective of what I gained from going through the BAS program. I came to the BAS program by way of military. Out of high school, I went to the Navy, and I worked in Navy avionics for about 9 years. From there, I went off into telecommunications. The last couple of years of my service career, I went to school for Microsoft Certified Engineering. I didn't complete the program, but I got enough networking information to effectively move into telecommunications, right? And so I did that in the broadcast industry for several years, and my GI Bill was getting ready to expire because you only have 10 years to use it. And so I decided, what am I going to go to school for? Long story short, my HVAC system in my home broke, and trying to fix it, I went upstairs and popped the cover on the unit and seen a schematic, a diagram, and I felt comfortable instantly. I said, okay, I got something I can work with here. And then I learned just how simple the technology was once you look at the schematic. And I say, man, this is it? So I say, well, I should actually go to school for HVAC, residential, and at least I'll have some skill to start a business if I wanted to, with 2-year degree, right? So that was the thought process behind going to school for HVAC. I had no idea what building automation was, had never really heard of it. Got to school and had an instructor by the name of Ronnie Carr. Like most of you guys, he was very seasoned, very knowledgeable, and he was a wonderful mentor. Upon completing the HVAC program, he says to me, you know, you should really look at building automation. We just happen to have guys starting a building automation program, and I think you'd be a good candidate for that program. So long story short, he introduced me to the program and Brian, and that's really how I got introduced to building automation. Brian is a whirlwind. I mean, he's just moving and doing everything, and it was really, how can you say, it was really a blessing. That's the word that comes to mind for me. To be paired with someone so motivated, because I thought I had a lot of energy, but this guy, whew, he's really moving. So I decided to really address what it was in the school that made me first want to continue to come daily to complete the program, first of all, and then what it was in the school that happened that kind of helped the program grow and my experience grow as well, right? So those are kind of the 2 points that I'm going to kind of tackle, if you will. And Deb really, just like I said, you really killed my points here. Let's see here if I can. Okay, so this, what are the things that my school did to recruit students like me? So this is a portion of my Buildings Technology Club. We had about 80, 75 members or so, but my core group was really about 9 or 10 people that I could really rely on dependably to do everything. They were the officers of the club, right? And Stephanie was the only female officer in the club. If you notice, most of us are pretty mature looking people, right? Not a lot of 19 and 20-year-olds. Well, that's the reality of community college, right? Most of us have already tried and done something at a career, and at some point we decide we want to do something different for any number of reasons. So you kind of normally deal with people with a little experience and season. Here, we're actually attending a ASHRAE lecture as a group. And let me just go to the next slide here. So this quote here, "The spirited horse which will try to win the race of his own accord will run even faster if encouraged." What was it about the program that kept us coming every day? Most of us wanted to do something different, and that's how we came to the college. But what kept us motivated was the encouragement that we found in our coming to school every day, right? And this encouragement comes in many different ways. It comes from your peers, and it comes from the faculty as well. So I found my encouragement in a few different things. Identify students that have skills more suitable for a particular industry, and maybe suggest dual enrollment and cross-training. I have yet to come across a technician in the field that has the job title of building automation technician. I haven't seen one. System technicians, field engineers, application engineer, you name it, but never have I came across a building automation technician. So one of the things we may want to consider is how the semantics and how we putting our people into the field, right? So if you're an employer and you're looking for a controls technician or a system technician, how do you know that a building automation systems technician has the skill set that you need? So there's a little mismatch there in what the industry is hiring and employing, and then what we're graduating, right? So just something to think about also. This discipline, when you get into the real world, you can't just be networking, and you can't just be industrial, commercial refrigeration. You got to have a little bit of them both, right? And so the reality is, in IT, you got to have a little bit of all three of them. And you guys already know that, of course. But you may have some guys that come through that think they want to do building automation. And I would just say, you don't really have to allow them to get discouraged that they're not doing so well at the electrical aspect of building automation. Maybe refer them to a different discipline, right? And they may excel in the other discipline just fine, right? There's room for us all out there. Encourage student involvement in annual events like Skills USA, ASHRAE, student design competitions, etc. This was an opportunity for those of us who come to school to get a degree to actually interact with each other and encourage one another. By show of hands, who here actually want to be loved? Really? Well, okay, so the ones who didn't raise your hand, you're gonna miss. You're totally not gonna get the rest of this lecture, okay? But the ones who did raise your hand and you really want to be loved, we all do, actually. We all want to be appreciated in some way, form, or fashion. Through these club activities, you get a chance to do something more than just come to school and do an assignment and go home. Because you're kind of competing for our time as mature adults, believe it or not. Even though it's our decision to come here, to keep coming is a constant competition for our time. We have bills. Do I go work overtime or do I come to school? We have children. Do I go to my kids' practice or do I come and do this school? So you're constantly competing for our time. At some point we had the idea to come. That's great, that's the start. But how do you keep us coming, right? So through these type of activities like Skills USA, you have a chance to feed that need in us to be appreciated. And you also give your female students, if they're there, and your more quiet students who may not be so vocal, an opportunity to take part in something that gives them that opportunity to be appreciated, right? And that's crucial. Creating a culture of something more than just coming to a classroom, sitting there and doing an assignment. It's critical, it's absolutely critical. So invite industry to visit your classes on a frequent basis. I did mention that I had no idea what building automation was, and although I started the program, I had no real idea of what the end result meant for me because I wasn't really aware of the industry. If you say you want to go to school to be a doctor, you have an idea of what a doctor does, right? If you say you want to go to school to be a lawyer, you have an idea what lawyers do. Society has given us this experience. If you say you want to go to school to be a building automation technician, you have no idea where that's going to lead you. It's like it's a plan, but you don't really understand what the reward is in the end. So when you have industry come in, and Brian and Gerald were great for this, it gives us a chance to get rejuvenated and remotivated about what we're doing as students in the program. We're hearing real time from professionals what's potentially waiting on us when you finish the program, right? So again, I had the initiative to come to the program, but how do you keep me encouraged to keep coming? And these are the things that kind of keep a student interested in continuing to come. What do I think GPC did to retain me in the program in a successful way? They made me feel my time was being valued by making a difference. So, I don't know if you guys can really see this picture. It's a picture of a classroom at a local high school, and Brian is doing some recording, and I'm up speaking to an audience of high school students about sustainable technologies, okay? And make my time making a difference. We had a Buildings Technologies Club, and this club pulled in about 75 members. I know you've heard that, but how did we do it? People who were not even in our programs came to join the club out of their own interests, like throwing away recycling programs, for example, rainwater harvesting programs, for example. I mean, these are things that wasn't directly related to building automation, but you had students who had interest in those, and making a difference in those areas. So the Building Technologies Club promoting sustainable technologies with the local high school. So these are a few pictures of an event we had where we had an art contest, and we challenged the local high school students to create an art, anything of their idea as it relates to sustainable technologies. And whoever won was going to take a compilation of all the artwork and wrap a trailer. And this whole idea was really motivated by an interest to be involved with the community, the local high school, and also to give us something to do as a BTC, a club, right? Because so now we're a club, now what are we really going to do? Well, we have to give everyone an assignment so they can be doing something to feel appreciated, okay? So we had females that stepped up to take charge of recycling. They didn't want to. One, specifically Miss Courtney, she was a young female, about 19, and she felt a little intimidated about being with all these people, but she was passionate about recycling. So through this club, she was an officer on a committee in a club, and the club was very structured. Now this is also an experience where a female influenced the way the club operated. Ms. Brown was, she was our finance officer in the club. She had already been to college and got a 4-year degree, I think in biology, right? And she was retooling herself for building automation to go into that field. So when we first started the club, and I'm trying to get her to take a role as an officer, I don't have time for that. I don't want you to waste my time. And I thought about that, and I said, you know what? She's right. If I want people to take this thing serious, then I have to take their time serious. And so what made the club, what I think one of the things that helped the club to grow was having very structured, organized meetings. And I had to go do some research on how to chair meetings and how to do that properly. But what that did is it made people feel comfortable when they come, that time is being valued. And so we had committees that took different responsibilities, and everyone had a responsibility to get up and speak. And when you got up to speak, you're not going to be challenged by chatter amongst the room. So it helped everyone get a little comfortable. And again, as we're doing this, we're all building relationships with each other, we're growing, and this just was a really wonderful experience. So, was I hitting buttons the whole time?
No.
Okay, so what did the community college do to ensure I advanced through the program in a successful way? Now, the politics of community college, you guys are far more aware of than I am. However, in this industry, I will say, as a BAS technician, you don't have the luxury of going to any job and just doing what you have to do, and that's it. You have to work with the electrician, and you have to work with building maintenance. And you've got to do this in a way that successfully gets the project completed. Even if they've messed up for 3 years, their responsibilities, in the end, you have to successfully manipulate those relationships so that you can get off that job and have the building running properly. So in this experience with DeKalb Tech, if we wanted to do something, we would have to submit request forms through the Student Activities Organization, and Brian would make us go down to the Student Activities office, find out what forms you got to fill out, get with the person who got to go through. And so it was a process. But what it prepared me to do was to understand, just because you're good at understanding the logic of your discipline, that's not enough. You have to work with other people. And when you do it successfully, it actually helps you do many other things more effectively, right? So I think we created an award for the department chair to show our appreciation to her for supporting the BAS program. So these are the politics of, I guess, running. I know it sounds a little corny, right? But in reality, you want to do things in the school where you involve the other faculty, right? And so that when you do need them, it's not a challenge. You don't want to be fighting against people, or even worse, just not having their support. When you could take action and do things in a way that they want to support, because you feed their need to also be appreciated, right? So this goes back to that fundamental requirement, you know. Students join the BTC club to take part in making a difference. So in this picture here, this young lady here, she joined the club. She was actually in the drafting program, I believe, right? So how do women even come to be interested in building technologies? And this lady here, also, she was in, I think, the drafting program. They just had heard of a student body that was taking an interest. One was interested in recycling, and the other one was heard about rainwater harvesting, right? Just by hearing, hey, come to this meeting. So they came out, they liked what they were hearing, and they joined. I guess the point that I'm making there is women, in my experience, they will get involved in things, especially when there's a social component to it, right? But if it's chaotic, then they will choose not maybe to be involved with it. So if you can create clubs that are structured and not chaotic, you will actually probably pull more women in than you would expect, right? But the thing is to be structured and not chaotic. Okay, so the BTC. So this is also a picture where, this is about, maybe about 20% of the club. This was at a meeting, and the advisors were showing us where the rainwater harvesting drums were going to be on a panel. And I put this picture in just so you can kind of see the quantity of students that we had just coming to a meeting. After hours, this is not class for them, this is just a club meeting. But they were just that, 2 minutes, they were just that interested in the club activities, right? So what involvement have I had in any professional organizations? I joined the ASHRAE as a student member while I attended the community college, and since then I have started working on my healthcare facility design professional certification. My job, I deal primarily with laboratories, and I do intend to complete this certification. While attending the college, I was awarded a few $100 for an ASHRAE to attend the Las Vegas convention. Brian mentioned that. But being a member of this organization actually gave me a bit of a heads up once I got into the industry and started dealing with someone who is such a major player in creating guidelines that drive our industry. For me, I deal a lot with fume hoods, and they have done a lot of work in the area of kind of giving us a baseline for operating fumes hoods safely, you know. And in conclusion, my success in the industry is largely due to opportunities afforded to me at GPTC. However, it was the innovations and thinking outside the box of teachers like Brian Lovell and Gerald McWhorter that made the experience at GPTC the launching of a career. My community college experience was a great deal more than just a collection of classes for a degree. And so that ends my presentation. I hope I didn't bore you too much. But like I say, this was an absolute pleasure for me. And the community college, I know you guys already know this is a pathway, in most cases to a 4-year degree. But there is a lot of opportunity for us in this industry. But we do need to really think about how we define what we're putting out there for the industry to hire. Because they're not really hiring building automation technicians. They're looking for control technicians, system technicians. So some marketing there needed to be considered, okay? Thank you very much for the invitation.